The next part of our lecture is to look at the net present value and internal rate of return. Now, what are we going to learn here in this lecture? Well, at the end of this section, you should be able to use the net present value as an investment appraisal technique, meaning that you should be able to help the manager to decide which project is more viable when you're given several projects or two of them. Okay. Now, what is net present value? Of course, we know what the present value is. A net present value, we're just talking about the value of a sum that is due to be paid in T years' time to come. So we're calculating the amount that is due in some years. And it's simply coming from the same formula that we looked at. Future value is equal to present value times 1 plus I to the power t. And we see that when we make P naught the subject to the formula, which is the present value, because remember we said this is future value and this is present value. If you make P naught the subject of the formula, it gives you this beautiful formula here. Okay, this is a present value. When we're talking about the net present value, this is simply the difference between the present value of cash inflow and the present value of cash outflows. Remember, when you are starting a project, there is money that you invested in. So that is the money out. So since you are investing, the money is leaving your pockets. So that is cash outflow. And it is regarded as negative because you're losing out. Whereas when you are running a business now, there are those returns, they're the ones you call cash inflow because they are flowing into your pockets. And those are regarded as positive because you are gaining. So now the difference between the cash outflow and the cash inflow is the one we call net present value. So when we ask you to define what net present value is, simply say this is the difference between cash outflow and cash inflow. That's all. Okay. Now, we can use the net present value to determine whether the project is viable or not, whether the project is worth taking or not. So we use the simple rule. If net present value is positive, it means you need to invest in a project. What does it mean? It means that the amount of money that you lose is less than the amount of money that you gain. At that point, it means that your business is making a profit. In that case, you need to invest in that project because it's going to give you a return. However, if the difference between the money outflow and the money inflow is negative, don't invest in that project because you're going to be making a loss. So these two are the rules that you can use to decide which of the two projects can be taken. Now, you as a line manager, you need to understand these two things. So in our test, we can ask you to give us a decision. You are given two projects with net present values, one being negative and one being positive. How can you advise your line manager which of these two projects should be carried out? So you should be able to quickly answer that one. Let's look at the example. Example number 14. It says that calculate the net present value of the investment project that is given in the table below, assuming 8% discount rate compounded annually. So remember, discount and interest, they are just the same. The only difference that discount is charged at the beginning of the year and interest is charged at the end of the year, but they mean one and the same thing. The question says calculate the net present value of the investment project in the table below, assuming 8% discount rate compounded annually. Now, here, things are easier for you because you can see that at time zero, you are given a negative there, 400,000. Sometimes this negative cannot be shown to you. It will just be given to you that at year zero, you have 400,000. How are you going to know that this is negative? Why? Because at year zero, that's a time when you make an investment. You haven't started gaining anything. You have just invested the amount of money in. So this is regarded as cash outflow. Whereas these, as time goes by, there is money now coming into your account, into your pockets. So these are cash inflow. So these are inflows. Okay. So this negative sometimes can be just shown as the brackets. So the moment you see that there are brackets, then it means that that is simply the initial investment, or rather it is the negative value. So let us see how we can compute the present value. What do I do? Let me see. Okay. So let us start at in year number 1. So present value in year 1. We know that P naught is given by PT over 1 plus I to the power T. Now, what is PT? PT, we are told, is 120 in year 1, 120,000 over 1 plus I we're told is 8%, which is equivalent to 0.8. T is in year number 1, which is 1. So you go to your calculator. Let me go to my calculator. So I'm going to have 120,000 divided by 1 plus 0.08, which is the same as 1.08. What do I get? I get 101,000, 101.11. Let me just put that to 2 decimal places. Okay, that is year number 1. Let's go to year number 2. So year 2, we're going to have P naught is equal to, let me just go directly. So you'll have 130,000 divided by 1 plus 0.08. T is 2. So here you can start by computing what is in your brackets in the denominator. Go to your calculator. So in my case, I'm going to say 1 plus 0.08. I'm going to have 1.08. Then to the power 2, which is squared, I'll get 1.166. Then I'll say 130,000 divided by my answer. Then I'm going to get 111,454.005. Yeah, 05. Okay. That is the present value in year 2. In year 3, so this is year 1, this is year 2, year 3. I'm going to have P naught is equal to 140,000 over 1 plus 0.08 to the power 3, because T is equal to 3. So as usual, I'll go in brackets. So I'll have 1 plus 0.08. I'll get 1.08 to the power 3. I'm going to get 1.2597112. Now say 140,000 divided by my answer. Then I'm going to get 101,136.551 to 2 decimal places. Okay. Then in year 4, I'm going to have P naught is equal to 150,000 over 1 plus 0.08 to the power 4. Then I'll go in on my calculator. I'm going to say 1 plus 0.08. I'll get 1.08. Then to the power 4. Then I get 1.36. Then this time, so no times. So I'm going to say 150,000 divided by my answer. What I'm saying. So 1.08 to the power 4. I get 1.36. Then I say 150,000 divided by my answer. Then I get 110,254.48 to 2 decimal places. So now, what is the total present value? Let us compute the total present value. So the total present value, what am I writing? Total present value is going to be the sum of this. So I'm going to add. So I'm going to have 101,101 0.11 plus 111,136.51 plus, did I skip another one? Yes, I skipped it in year number 2, which is 111,454.05 plus now 111,136.51, then plus 110,254.48. When you add these ones, they give us 443,956.15. Now, what is the net present value? Okay, what is the net present value? The net present value is therefore going to be, so therefore, net present value NBP is simply going to be equal to the total amount, the cash inflow, which is 443,956.15 minus the total investment or cash inflow is 400,000. So you go back to your calculator. So I'm going to subtract 400,000. Then I get the net present value is equal to 43,956.15. Okay, so that is the value that we obtain. So what can you say? Can you say that the project is worth doing or not? The answer is yes. Why? Because NPV is positive. This is greater than 0. And according to the rule, we said you need to accept this project. Let me just write nicely. This is not how I write accept. Okay. Then this project should be accepted. So accept the project. So this is how we compute the net present value. I hope this is clear.